What's up, everybody? This is Carissa Des with On the Scene. We're here at the Thesis at the Lollipop Shop in Portland, Oregon for the August the Thesis. And I have my co-host.
I am Shawan, aka Shawilly.
And then we have our very special guest here in the house.
Brookfield, Deuce, East Oakland. Portland's like a second home, but happy to be here, man.
Okay, where's your first home?
First home is in East Oakland, California, a neighborhood called Brookfield.
All right. I don't know much about Oakland, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about the difference between the music scenes.
I think the music scene here is a little bit more robust. That's the word.
Okay.
I would say the Bay Area is really one of those places that you might have like dreams kind of fade away because you're too busy trying to survive.
Yeah.
You know, so like here, I feel like the opportunities to have dreams are still like in front of you.
Yeah.
So I think that the music scene is like a beneficiary of the ability to have like dreams still. So I think the scene here is a little bit more robust than Oakland. I think Oakland is we've got that influx of local energy, and then now the artists have experienced like national, you know, like exposure, and some people have gotten deals. Yeah. So now it's a lot more convoluted. You know?
I say that about Portland too, is like it's a maker city. Like I'm a transplant from Florida, and when I moved here, I was like, oh, this is a community effort. Like whatever you're doing, you know, I know artists and painters and graphic designers, but it's a community effort here, which like in Florida, that wasn't the thing. I mean, you have your different sectors. You got your Miami, your North Florida. Right. So that's beautiful too, that you found that also.
Yeah. I mean, especially here, I feel like Portland kind of like revitalized my career. Like I was in a space in which I had like real like bitterness towards music in terms of what I felt like it wasn't necessarily doing for me or serving me or whatever. And, you know, I came to Portland in 2012. So what's that, 12 years ago? About almost 13 years ago now. And I met a lot of dope artists, a lot of those same artists I still work with today, still talk to today. And just kind of put me in a better space in terms of creativity. But like the music scene for rap is predominantly Black, but the city is only 7% Black.
Yeah.
So the people here tend to stick together.
Yeah.
They tend to kind of, you know, they kind of have like a tight knit situation. So like whenever one person's doing something, you tend to know the people who are all showing up or involved in putting it together. And it's a little bit easier to support it as opposed to the Bay Area or even Florida, like Miami or something. It's like so many different factions. It's so big that you can get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think it's so important to be a team player, especially in a place where there's such like a tight knit group of people that you're working with. And like, you don't want to be burning bridges out here because it's like everybody knows everybody. Exactly. You know?
2 degrees of separation. All right. I was like,
or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel like it was when you first moved to Portland? Like, was it easy to get into the scene here, or did it take a little bit of time?
I don't think it was easy or hard. I think it was more the grass isn't green on the other side, it's green where you water it kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was on my way up here and I was like, I need to figure it out. So I just got on Google and was like, top 10 artists in Portland.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
did some research. Okay.
So I just top 10 artists in Portland. A bunch
Who
of
were
names
they?
came up.
Who came up?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can remember all 10.
From 2012. I wasn't even around. I wasn't even in Portland. That's I have no idea.
I'm trying to think if I remember all 10. Amine, Mike Capes.
You said tonight, right?
He is.
Okay.
Glenn Waco. Rashid Jamal. Ep.
Who?
Ep. Taupe, who's now in the Bay Area, but Taupe.
Okay.
They had a group together. Ep and Taupe had a group called T&E. They were on Eris Records.
Okay.
And then who else was on the list? I said Amine, right?
You did. That was number one.
Yeah. Cool Nuts, Flyboy Mo or Flyboy Mike is his name. I think he runs Trap Kitchen now.
Oh, okay.
And then I think Dre Steves was on the list. And somebody else I can't remember right now, but it was a good list. So I just got on Instagram and DM'd all of them. And I was like, I'm on my way to Portland. I'm from Oakland. You know,
I probably appreciate that.
And I'm just looking to work with new artists and blah, blah, blah. And like half of them hit me back. And then I just started working with artists out here, and it was like, man, you're kind of working with some of the top people. And then I
Shoot your
met
shot, kid.
I met DJ OG1. I introduced myself to OG1 at the Blazer game, and I was like, I'm Deuce, blah blah blah. You know, I do music. Can I send you something? Let me know what you think. He was like, yeah, please do. You know, so I sent him something. We got cool. He was like, you should meet my homie DJ Cliff. So I met DJ Cliff, and then he had a radio show in Portland called
Cliff Notes.
Welcome to the Neighborhood.
Cliff Notes.
Well, Cliff Notes is the podcast. Yeah.
Right,
So yeah, Welcome to the Neighborhood on X-Ray FM, and he was like, yeah, send me the cleans. I'll play it. You know, so then I sent him the cleans, and then.
Which is the radio edits.
Is the radio edits, correct. And then he was like, you should meet my homie Star Child. Rest in peace, Star Child. So then I met Star Child, and Star Child was like, man, you dope, blah, blah, blah. So he would give me advice. So I ended up kind of being connected with the top 4 like pioneers of Portland rap.
Sure.
You know, Cool Nuts, OG1, DJ Cliff, and Star Child. So I kind of walked in with like privilege, you know?
Yeah.
And I just kept working with artists.
That was hard work though.
Yeah, I just kept working with artists.
I was like, not even
Do that
privileged. Like you shot your shot. Like you did the work to integrate yourself in this community before you even got here. I think that shows like real tenacity.
I was definitely trying to pay my way. Like my cousin's Damian Lillard.
Oh, okay.
So I would go.
Like cousin, because you know.
No,
okay.
cousin. Like,
all right.
Like my mom and his mom,
okay.
sisters. My first cousin. Yeah, first cousin. So I would go to Adidas, get a pair of Dame shoes. I'd have Dame sign it. I'd do a show and raffle them off in the crowd.
There you go.
You know,
I love it.
so like fans would come, you know, like and be like, oh, you know, if you go to a Deuce show, he might have a Dame jersey or some Dame shoes.
Okay.
You know, and I just did I feel like I did a really good job at trying to bridge the gap between Damian the athlete and Damian the artist with the community. Yeah. And then we started working with a lot of artists out here, and we just used the resources that I had to introduce myself and not take from the community, but give back to the community. Yeah. You know, and I feel like that went a long way. And I just kept making music and kept working with artists and releasing music. And it kind of just put me in a space in which I became like a Portland transplant, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's sounds like consistency to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I definitely appreciate Portland. I really feel like it revitalized my career. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I want to say that, like, you know, also you put in the work before like making your music, before you put it out there to some of the best artists in Portland at that time, because you could have put showed them your music and they could have been like, yeah, no, we don't want to work with you, you know? So obviously you were putting in work even before that too. And that's the thing is that, like, you know, some people are like given open doors or like open doors for themselves, but they don't follow through to like be able to like make a name for themselves or whatever.
That's definitely true.
So you're a good artist and like you put yourself out there, and yeah. So, and you've been doing it for a while. You said you've been in Portland for 12 almost 13 years.
Yeah.
How long before that were you making music?
Wow. I probably been making music for over 20 years, but probably seriously like about 15.
Okay.
Yeah, seriously about 15. I would call about 6 or 7 of those years not serious. But about 15 years seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you hone in and get serious about it?
I was involved in like a drive-by shooting.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I escaped it telling myself that the raps that I had couldn't die in my phone. I didn't want the message that I had to tell people to not get out. Yeah. So I decided to take it serious. Yeah. Like literally, like the next day, like I was like, yeah, go put music out. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Not for sure.
Yeah. So in your long career of being a musician, what has been the hardest thing that you've encountered as an artist to like hurdle to pass?
Probably number one is imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Number one, imposter syndrome. Number two is the politics that fuel the imposter syndrome. Yeah. I think that for artists that don't come from a market that is, you know, heavily influenced by the industry, like your New Yorks, your Atlantas, your LAs, Chicago's, Houston's, all those other cities that are experiencing a rap scene, they have to worry about a level of politics that they halfway understand. Yeah. You know, you don't fully understand it. So you keep spinning your wheels, making things that you think will catch to the point where you feel like you might not be good enough, you know? And then you're like, okay, what am I doing wrong? And then you see somebody maybe from your region that gets some smoke and you like, how'd they get smoke? You know, and it's like, I don't know how they're starting to create the friction that turns into a fire. Yeah. So then you start switching your styles and your genres and you start dancing around and not being true to yourself. Yeah. Because you're trying to find it, you know? And a real creative will be able to do that without compromising their integrity. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of artists that don't have that, and they just out there just making whatever in hopes that people like this, you know. And people don't buy stuff; people buy people. So just trying to figure out how to connect with people in general is like, for me, is like the biggest thing. But it's hard to do that when you feel like you got other things in the way. Like I was saying earlier, just living in the Bay, it's hard to just focus on life, let alone chasing a dream. So you end up in a space in which you start feeling like, I can't do this, or I can't do this without this. And you start making excuses like, well, if this was in place, I could have did this. Or if this was in place, I could have did that. And then all of that stuff is like excuses to me. You know, like I told myself I was making too many excuses. And in Portland, I just kind of started fresh and eliminated the excuses, you know, and then things started working. And I was like, well, maybe the Bay wasn't that bad. Maybe it was me the whole time.
Ooh.
You know?
Okay. Preach.
Maybe it was me the whole time. So, so for me, that's kind of number one. Number one, imposter syndrome. Number two is like the politics that you do actually, they do exist. You do encounter them, but those things aren't necessarily as bad as maybe you think they are if you can hurdle over them based on the work that you do, you know? So it starts and ends with you.
Yeah.
What a good word.
What a good what?
A good word. I feel inspired. No, because imposter syndrome is especially just like being a Black creative in general in Portland. It hits. Sometimes that, you know, you walk into rooms and you're like, what am I doing here? What am I really doing in general?
It's very interesting because Portland is a small town in comparison to other major cities, but the big corporations live here. Yeah. You know, you got your Adidas, your Nikes, your Under Armours, you know, like those companies are creating so many jobs for people. You throw a rock and you hit somebody that works at Nike. You throw a rock, you hit somebody that works at Adidas. And they're all in the corporate world, like a Fortune 500 corporate, not like the corporate that ends up on the news, like they started and they failed. Like these corporates aren't going nowhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like everybody that you talk to has some level of tech knowledge or tech lingo in their speech.
Yep.
So when you start talking and you ain't from that and you don't work there, it's like, man, I'm like, you know, should I not even speak in a group of people that are all talking about like deliverables and retainers and all of that stuff? It's like, but for me, getting out here and learning all that stuff and seeing all those people, knowing I'm really a hood rat. So like seeing all that stuff was like, okay, well, I need to learn it.
Yes.
I need to learn it. So getting into that space is like, well, all my friends do this stuff. I need to learn how to make decks. I need to learn how to present stuff. I need to learn how to speak the language. So when I get into these rooms, I don't feel like, damn, like you ignorant as hell. Like, like, nah, like, I might not be like super ass college educated, but I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? So like being in that space for me is like, it was super important. But definitely imposter syndrome is tough.
Sometimes I feel like and we were talking about a little bit about this before, how like I felt like I need to like act professional in some settings. And then there's like a time where I felt that, but then I realized that like, oh, I'm just going to be myself. And like, you know, if I'm going to like a fancy party, of course, I'm not going to be like, you know, cussing the whole time or whatever. But like, I think that remaining yourself is what makes you stand out. Like, that you just gotta
think it's super key.
Do you feel like when you go and like to certain places where you feel like you kind of have to put on a front or whatever, or you just always like genuinely yourself?
Nah, I used to, but you know, how much does the polar bear weigh? You know, enough to break the ice. So like, you got to come in heavy. You got to come in like putting your foot down. Like, nah, I'm a polar bear in here. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to notice me. So like, I might as well not avoid it. I might as well not avoid you noticing me.
Yes.
Like, I'm not hiding from it. So for me, it's like, be yourself. And the crazy part is, you'd be surprised when you start listening to the meetings in these corporate settings. They're all cussing and zero decorum and all of that. So it's like,
I know that.
Be yourself for sure. Because like I said, people don't buy things, they buy people. It's like, I didn't want the Jordans because they look good. I wanted the Jordan because Jordan was flying across the screen. Like I wanted to buy Jordan, not the shoes, you know? So
well, I feel like some people like live in that comfort zone. And but I think like as an artist, as a creative, like that's not really your job. Your job is to just like be yourself and like not fit into the mold.
Yeah.
I feel like that too. I don't know.
It depends. It depends because this is a business. So I tell people like, if you make music for yourself, like literally, if you really make music for yourself, don't put it out. I don't make music for myself.
Okay.
I don't make music for myself. I make music for the people. Like I feel like once, like if like I'm creating it, I listen to it the most while I'm creating it. Once I create it, I'm not listening to it no more.
Same. Put the art out.
It's
you
over.
Have it now.
Yeah, you got it. Once it's out, it don't belong to me no more.
Yes.
It belongs to the people. Like you ever hear somebody say, "This is my favorite song." It's literally their favorite song now. It's not my song no more. It's their favorite song. Like they've purchased it, they've consumed it, they've streamed it, downloaded it, however they got it, but it's theirs now. And whatever it's doing for them in their life, belongs to them. No different than if you were to go to the store and buy toothpaste. It's my toothpaste now. Yeah, it's got a name on it, but this is my toothpaste. So nobody can use my toothpaste or my toothbrush. Like, this is my toothbrush.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I feel like the music is the same way. It's a toothbrush. It's like, this belongs to me. Only I use it. The way I use it, the way I brush my teeth is different from the way you brush yours, from the way you brush yours. And that's perfectly fine. As long as what I get out of it is enough for me, like, that's cool. You know what I mean? And I feel like the music is the same way. It's like, I don't think that Da Vinci is painting the Sistine Chapel and then standing there and watching it forever.
Right.
He's painting it and he's finding another blank canvas to go draw on.
You're going.
You know, so for me, it's like, find the next canvas in whatever art form that is. It don't necessarily have to be rap. It could be as an A&R. It could be as a creative director. It could be as a video director. It could be as a photographer. Just continue to put your fingerprints on the world. You know, that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of artists who say that like they do make music for themselves, and like, but they also like make it for their audience as well. Like, if they try to make it too much for their audience and make it sound like something else, that's when they like lose themselves.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably like a fine line.
You still got to be yourself.
Yeah.
For sure. It definitely starts with you, you know? Yeah. Every shoe starts with a designer designing the shoe based on what they think. But there are also information out there to tell them people like this.
Right.
So it's me and the people, you know? But it definitely starts with the individual. But I definitely don't make the music for myself. I'm speaking about the things that I'm speaking about, and I hope that they're relatable to most people. But I'm also thinking about what I'm saying before I say it. No different than when you were a kid and your mom was like, I taught you better.
Yeah.
So like, if you know better, you do better, you know, kind of thing. And it's like, I'll just speak about the things that I think make sense based on my upbringing and the things that I witnessed. But because the information is out there, I know that the things that I've experienced, like the drive-by shooting, I know I'm not the only one. That's not a unique story. That's a story that is very normal. It's a very normal story in, you know, inner city America.
Thank you so much for your time. Can you give us, shout out your socials for us?
It is Brookfield Deuce, BROOKFIELD, and then DUECE. On Instagram, Brookfield Deuce on Twitter, Brookfield Deuce on Facebook, even though I don't use it. And then Brookfield Deuce on all streaming platforms. 2 words, Brookfield Deuce. You can find any of my music or any work that I've done outside of just searching Brookfield Deuce. If you search Grand National, that's GRAND space NATIONXL. No A at the end, but Grand National. And then anything front page, anything Dame Dollar, I'm usually involved in. I serve as his creative director for his label Front Page Music. So any music that you ever seen Damien put out, I've had some level of hand in it. Or video, I've had some level of hand in it. And we'll just continue to work and serve the people, for sure. But yeah, Brookfield Deuce on. I'm Googleable. Google it.
Googleable.
Yeah, Googleable.
All right, well, this has been On the Scene here at the Thesis at the Lollipop Shop. I'm Carissa Des.
And I'm Shawili.
With our very special guest.
Yeah, Brookfield Deuce.
All right.
Yeah, peace.